Hey guys, we're back after a while, so... I'm gonna grab my money. DECCON 2056 for Isabel's job. Jay's friend. Alright. Apparently I can't go home right now to get money. Alright, well... I guess I'll have to go to the Mahjong parlor then. Dr. Shenyang. A rotund, balding dwarf in a cheap suit turns to face you. Light glints from the heavy gold chains that hang around his neck. When he speaks, the voice that greets your ears is high and nasal, and has been contorted into a rough approximation of a New York accent. Pleased to meet you. Chang was... Alright, now. Pleased to meet you. Chang was kind enough to arrange this little sit-down between us. He extends a slab-like hand for you to shake. You can call me Dr. Shenyang. Okay. Pleased to meet you, I'm Shik. Alright. His grip is as soft as his palm is moist. It's like shaking hands with a boneless ham. You share a long, uncomfortable, flaccid handshake before he finally releases you. I'm looking for a little outside help on a problem I've been having. Ordinarily, I'd handle it myself or have some of my friends see to it, but it's kinda delicate, you know? My guys would be noticed before they made any headway on my problem, so I figured, hey, I hire contractors all the time. Might as well get some contractors of a different stripe. Tell me about your problem, maybe we can help. I run a little film studio, Southern Crown Films. We mostly do trid work, but we record some Sims too. Maybe you've seen some of my stuff. Space Mongols from the Moon, The Flavor of Pomegranates, Ultimate Kill Squid. Be friendly. Sounds familiar. No, but I like the sound of Ultimate Kill Squad. He offers you a chip-toothed grin a lot. There's this one scene where two trolls gang up on an elf, and well, I don't want to spoil it, but believe me, it is glorious. I'll send you a copy over to Chang so that you can take a look. Anyway, there's this other guy in the industry, and we've been butting heads since day one. Name's Neville Ma. He runs Yellow Spring Studios. No matter what I do, I can't shut him out of the biz. He always manages to get one over on me, steal my stars. He's been running me into the ground with this show called Promises in Moonlight. The star is a girl named Penelope Wong. New talent, but the viewers have been going nuts over her. She's the show's linchpin. And you want me to assassinate her, convince her to change? Alright. Hang on, I'm getting there. So about 6 months ago, Neville was out in Guangzhou for some hoity-toity party. He's on the road, probably drunk, a semi... Comes out of nowhere, and pow, wrecks his fancy new Eurocar Westwind. Bad luck for Neville, good luck for me. I figure, hey, that's the end of him for the year, and I start planning some new stuff he can't compete with from inside a hospital. You follow me so far? Yes, please keep going. The problem is the bastard's back in the game already, and he's bringing out Season 2 of Promises of Moonlight. I need that show off the air one way or another, and that, my friend, is where you come in. Right. Take him to recuperate. I tell you, kid, he shouldn't have been in that hospital for... He should have been in the hospital for at least 3 months and in physical therapy a lot longer. Only took him like a week to get out. Couldn't freaking believe it. That kind of medical care costs top dollar. He's got a lot of money, but not that much. Recovery time like that means that one of two things is going on. Neville could have found himself a silent partner, someone willing to pay top dollar for cutting-edge care. I don't think it's likely, but it could have happened. If it ain't that, the smart money says that he's been skimming off the top of Yellow Spring's earnings and not reporting it to the other shareholders. You want me to look into that, I take it. I need you to go get me something to blackmail Neville with, find out how he could afford to get out of the hospital so fast. He works out of his penthouse most days, so search his computer, closet, sock drawer, whatever. There's got to be something incriminating in there. Where's this penthouse? Neville lives in the Repulse Bay. It's this real swanky joint on the south end of Hong Kong Island by the bay with the same name. I haven't been able to get anybody in to poke around his apartment because the security's too tight. Lucky for you, though, Neville's throwing a party on the mezzanine level with all the shops and a restaurant and balcony and such. He's celebrating the second season launch of his show, and everybody's going to be there. I'm going to make a real snarl for the building's security. You might also want to hit up the party if you can bluff your way in. Everybody close to Neville will be there, and most of them will be 3 sheets to the wind by the time you get there. Some discreet questioning might get me the dirt that I need. Just remember, if you go to the party, don't use your real name. Go with Argyle. Should be safe enough. There's nobody in the biz out there with that name, so nobody will ask any questions about how your work's going. You got blackmail. Sounds easy enough. He nods vigorously. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't tell him to make a better show. Then I wouldn't be getting paid to do anything. Oh, yeah. Cheng talked you up when I approached her with the job. Given what she told me, this job should be cake. Now, the blackmail material is what I need more than anything. But if you can get Penelope Wong out of her contract, I'll pay you extra. Got it? I want that star power on my side. Let's see. One last thing. I don't want you starting a scene while you're there. You interrupt his party, make a mess, or trash his apartment, and I'm not paying you. We're clear on that, all right? All right. We're clear. Good. I can't have Ma knowing that I'm after him. In my business, everybody's got dirty tricks, but if you make it public, you're using them. Dr. Shenyang draws a finger across his throat. That's it. My career is as dead as the People's Republic of China. Nobody will work for or with me ever again, so don't embarrass me. Hey, understand, I'll be discreet. Glad to hear it. Listen, you do this for me, I'll make sure you're not only paid well, but also tell all my friends that you come highly recommended. You don't seem like you deal with Shadowrunners much. Shadowrunners, Moonlight Prancers, who gives a crap? I got money and a job, and I don't care who does it as long as the price is right. What's more, I got a lot of friends around town, and a lot of them run in your circles too. Okay. He looks up at you, eagerness in his eyes. So what, we got a deal? You gonna do it? We have a deal. His grin whines. Good woman, that's what I like to hear. When you're done, drop Chang a line. I'll come meet you back here, and I'll hand over the money. As you walk through the mahjong parlor, you see your crew waiting for you, clearly uncomfortable to be so close to the Triad boss. Then you see why. Kindly Cheng's cheeks are flushed and glowing. She's already hit the bottle pretty hard. Okay. Well, she's drunk. At least she's not necessarily angry. Ah, Shik, you're here. Excellent. Yes, Shake, it's good to see you. They both have expressions that say they'd rather be anywhere else. There's a Maj, alright. Lead auntie, alright. You said you had a lead auntie? I did and I do. Kindly Chang takes out her PDA and gently places it on the table in front of her. The wiretap we place on the police force has borne fruit. Her mouth breaks into a wolfish grin, her eyes take on a feral gleam. She appears fueled by alcohol and vengeance, a hungry beast on the hunt. My people have delivered a snippet of a recorded video call between the plastic-faced man and Chief Inspector Crate of the Special Duties Unit. Whoa. This should be good. Should we take a seat? Unfortunately, it's only a snippet. There was some technical difficulties with the tap. She glances at Bao, who nods back at her. The person responsible has been sacked. Chang reaches out a lacquered fingernail, hunts for the button she's looking for, and stabs it in victory. There's a loud crackling noise at the beginning of the recording, followed by a squelching squeal that makes Gobbet cover her ears in pain. When the video recording begins, the man's voice sounds far away, as if he's talking through a thick pane of glass. The woman is louder, closer. Chief Inspector Crate. Say that again. There's something wrong with this line. Plastic-faced man. Oh, he looks lovely. I said my client isn't interested in hearing more excuses, Inspector. That's what I thought you said. I'm not making excuses, mister. I have a department to run. Not for much longer. If those two Westerners aren't found, they're linked to this Raymond Black somehow, and my client wants them out of circulation immediately. The two runners are his accomplices, too. The little orc and the dwarf with the cyberdeck. Gobbet looks at Isabel wide-eyed and swallows hard. Isabel winks back reassuringly. I'm aware, Inspector. Thank you. We don't know how much any of them know, and my client is adamant that the risk be mitigated immediately. I've already made this the SDU's highest priority. If Josephine wants more resources on it, I'm going to need allocations from elsewhere in the department. That's a problem that can be easily dealt with. My client wants this over. Now, no more excuses, no more fuck-ups, no more cops floating in the river. Kindly Chang smiles at that and pours herself a shot. Tell her we're redoubling our efforts. Very good. Dead or alive, you bring them to me. My client requires my personal verification that the threat has been eliminated. Hang on, this line is getting worse. There's a sharp crackle and the recording ends. Kindly Chang picks up her PDA and puts it away with a smile. She unscrews the cap on her bottle and pulls herself a shot with a flourish. That's the guy we saw in the surveillance footage, the one who killed Raymond Black. She leans into the PDA. That plastic face looks a lot cooler close up. Really? I think it's kind of pretty. Really? It's kind of creepy. That video doesn't tell us much. I mean, we already knew that there's an APB on us. All we're sure of now is that the man with the plastic face is definitely working for someone else, this Josephine. Is all we have, Auntie, a first name? It's not just a first name, Gobbet, dear. It's the first name. Josephine Sung, she's the one pulling the strings. Kindly downs her shot and slams the glass upside down on her table. That disease-riddled dogfucker, huh? I should have known it was her from the beginning. Chinese profanity is quite creative. And she had a nerve to call down the heat on my runners on Nightjar. Oh, that scabrous fossil's going to pay. Power to order the... This woman has enough power to order the HKPF to hunt us down. Chang makes a wet hacking noise in the back of her throat and spits on the floor. She's the CEO of Song Mechanical Services and a member of the Hong Kong Executive Council. Her face turns to a mask of disgust. Josephine dogfucking Zhang. CEO, huh? Yeah. CEO, huh? What do you know about her? She was Hong Kong Philanthropist of the Year in 2054 and 2055, children's hospitals, homeless shelters, food distribution centers, good causes, and the kind that get good PR because people are too lazy and myopic to look for the real people doing the hard work, the face-to-face with the poor work. Don't be so cynical, Isabel. Auntie Cheng smiles at her sweetly. Coming face to face with the unsanitized for video poor is distasteful, dear. You know that. Her phrase gets stony. Beyond being a CEO and a philanthropist, I also know that Josephine Song is a lying, conniving bitch. Sounds like you two have a history together. Whatever gave you that impression, my sweet? Her wolfish smile returns. Yes, my darling, I don't like Josephine Song. And I'm going to fuck her up. I'm going to fuck her up bad. Care to elaborate on that, Auntie? No. She picks up her bottle of swill. Its turpentine fumes drift your way. She's drinking. Not now, not today, but you'll be there, my darling. I'll make it a party. All right. What is Song Mechanical Services? Josephine's baby. It was a B-rated corporation before she married into the Song family, but after she fought for and won the contract to rebuild Kowloon Walled City, their fortunes rose high. They began a rise to power that eventually landed Josephine on the executive council. Wait, she married... But after she fought for and won... Wait, so there's a connection between Josephine Song and the Walled City. Yes, the same place Raymond Black hired my runners to take him. I've already connected the dots. I don't know what it means, but it clearly means something. Connection. I don't know yet, but I will. He called her his client. That may be some sort of lead we can follow. Chang nods at Wu. Her glance lingers at his biceps a moment before continuing. Oh, yeah. Right now, all we know is that he is her instrument, the one who killed Raymond Black. Raymond's not dead. Yes, you may have mentioned that before, Gun Show. She smiles at him reapprovingly. Regardless, the plastic-faced man is still our best lead for figuring out what's going on. I think I know who the executive council is, but a refresher wouldn't be bad. May I, Auntie? Isabel breaks in, giving Auntie Cheng a chance to calm down a bit. Hong Kong is run by a consortium of powerful corporations called the Board of Governors, who set up the executive council, an 8-member committee of exemplary Hong Kong citizens to represent the people and run the city on their behalf. But of course, you don't vote for them. That would be too unpredictable. Instead, every 2 years, 2 executive council slots come up for election, and the corporations on the Board of Governors put up some possible candidates and vote among themselves in a closed-door session. Closed door? I'm shocked. Of course, every single one of those candidates is on some corporate payroll somehow. Wham bam, it's the government. Let's cut to the chase. What's our next step? There's nothing we can do to touch Josephine Song. As much as I hate to admit it, but the plastic-faced man is a different story. He's a third-party operative who's been careless, and he'll live to regret it. Her little black eyes turned stony for a while. If Song thinks she can take out 2 of my runners and get away with it, I'm going to have to explain things to her. She pulls out a thin black cigar and runs it beneath her nose. We're going to find the plastic-faced man, and we are going to hurt him. We'll hurt him until we know everything he does. And then we will use that to strike back at Josephine Song. She lights her cigar and takes a deep, deep pull. We'll have your vengeance, and I will have my own satisfaction. He turns away and picks up the bottle. Now get out, I have work to do. Okay, now I can go in. messages. You have one unread message. Josephine from Gobbet. Hey Seattle, I think I can add a little context, that thing between Auntie and Josephine Sung. You know, the thing that makes Auntie hit the sauce and talk revenge. This is a combo of stuff I heard and stuff I put together myself, so your mileage may vary. For years, the Yellow Lotus acted as tax collectors within the walled city. Since the walled city was built by Josephine Sung and the Yellow Lotus was run by Auntie Chang, they must have had a working business relationship for a while at least. From what Nightjar told me, he was her favorite, you got that, right? Auntie was known as a real up-and-comer back then. She was on the fast track to be the next Yellow Lotus 438. That's a big deal gig. A big deal gig, Seattle. Money and power galore. Now you need to know that there were a lot of triads and corps doing business in the walled city. All sorts of stuff, something they work together nicely, and sometimes people get bloody. The way that I heard it, Auntie came up with some sort of grand plan to consolidate business in the walled city. The power will be split between the Yellow Lotus and Song's company, and everyone else would get cut out. If her plan worked, Auntie would rise in the Lotus like nobody's business, and Josephine Song would make long bank. There was a catch, though. In order for the plan to work, both women would need to jump through a lot of hoops. There'd be street-level maneuvering and power plays on Auntie's side, and blackmail and negotiations on the corporate level from Josephine Song. My info gets sketchy here. From what I've pieced together, Song went behind Auntie's back and took her plan to her boss, a 438 named Wang Lun Fat. They cut kindly out of her own plan. Why'd Sung do that? My guess is that she saw Auntie as some sort of threat. People in the know say that Wang Lun Fat is weak and greedy. She can be manipulated if her palm remains well greased. Long story short, power was consolidated in the walled city just like Auntie planned, only she didn't wind up getting any of it. Her climb up the Lotus ladder came to an abrupt halt. She's still a straw sandal, just like she was before Song backstabbed her. Now she's stuck in hay oil like a fly in amber. I'd be pissed too if it were me. Okay. There's the Wuxing sabotage run. You submitted the job as finished and await the response. A few minutes later, a message pops up onto the screen. Alright, 2000. From kind of shake to shake, a little bird whispered in my ear that Wuxing's fortunes are already falling. Their stock value dropped by 2% already. The client finds this to be acceptable indication of your success and has forwarded payment. I've attached your cut to this email. Pay data, shipping manifest, something. I have a post the Wuxing logistical data. Yes. I saw that you accepted my offer. That was the right choice, you'll see. I'm ready to make a run at that con whenever you are. Alright. That's on the last run. Nope, sorry, Jack. Okay. Here's anything to cover with Gabbet. Gobbet glances up at the sound of your approach. A slight smile crosses her face. Hey, pal. She puts her hands on her hips, sending madness scurrying. Are you ready for your next lesson? Absolutely hit me. Straight to business, she nods appreciatively. I like that. Good. This one is about people like Auntie Chung and why we need them. There won't be a QA session after this story, but I want you to listen up. It's important. I'm all ears. Alright, so here's the upfront lesson. Fixers are important. You can't just go to a Johnson yourself and get a job. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. It's a bad idea all around. Okay, go on. The reason why it's a bad idea to cut people like Auntie Chang out is because you need someone to vet your clients. That's important. It protects the whole team. She takes in a breath, lets it out slowly. You remember the lesson from last time? The one about Sui and the shiny object? Yeah. Well, after the run was over, we went back to the sinking ship for some R&R. Sui had told us that the client would be sending a boat to collect the shiny object in the morning. All that we needed to do was keep the thing safe until the handoff. We were in a celebratory mood. We killed an evil wizard and stolen a priceless artifact. A good night's work by anyone's standards. Honu and Egret got good and drunk in record time. Tsui went back to his cabin with the shiny object to, I don't know, stare at for a while or something. I retired to my cabin and crashed out. It had been a long night. I remember waking up to sounds, yelling maybe. I was groggy, and they were far away. I couldn't quite make them out. The clock said 4:30 a.m. People were always partying on the raft, playing loud music, shooting off fireworks, that kind of thing. So loud noises early in the morning weren't unusual, but something felt off somehow. I used to get that every now and then. Again, the Barrens, I learned to listen to it. Oh shit, I hit the wrong button. It's hard to describe. A queasy feeling in the pit of my stomach and an elevated heartbeat, rapid, shallow breaths. It was a lot like a panic attack, really, not the kind of thing that you can sleep through. So I got up to investigate. If something was wrong, I wanted to know, and if it wasn't, I figured that I might as well get in on the party. I stepped out into the hallway, and my foot slipped. I came down hard, landed on my ass, and found myself sitting in a pool of blood. That's not good. She shakes her head, grimacing. No, it was pretty bad. So it's pretty obvious by this point that something had gone horribly wrong. My first thought was that the shiny object might have, I don't know, unleashed something. After what I saw it do that in that warehouse, I wouldn't have been surprised. I shook that off pretty quickly, though. I knew what this was. Our client was playing us. He'd hired us to steal the thing, and rather than paying us for the job, he'd sent another team to take it away. Does that jump to conclusions? I mean, it could have been anything. Sure, I guess, but it was what made sense to me at the time. I mean, we were definitely under attack. That much was pretty clear. I got up, brushed myself off, and beelined for Malvina's cabin. She was the closest thing that the sinking ship had to a leader and the strongest rat shaman on the raft. Why go to her? Why not head straight to Tsui's cabin? She stares at you blankly because I'm not an idiot. Sorry that wasn't aimed at you, but you think about it for a second. If there was a retrieval team coming for the shiny object, and they were strong enough to handle Tsui while he was holding it, what chance would I have of stopping them? I figured that it was time to bring out the big guns. Malvina was the one who I could get them from. I passed some pretty bad stuff on my way down to Malvina's cabin. It was old man Shuiyan's vault all over again. The torn up bodies, the blood-soaked floors. I saw people who'd been cut apart with machetes, scorch marks on the container walls. She bites her lip, grimacing at the unpleasant memories stewing in her head. Deep down in the pit of my gut, I could feel the thrumming vibration of the shiny object, that heartbeat feeling that I had in the warehouse. It was back and stronger than ever. Whatever that rock was, it was awake. That'd be my cue to bail out when I think of that thing. I didn't either, believe me. But whatever was happening on board, it was killing people, and messily at that. I didn't want to risk getting cut down on my way to a life raft. Besides, Sui was my friend and the leader of my team. I thought that I had a chance to help him, so I took it. I sprinted down the last stretch of a corridor to Malvina's cabin. I can't tell you what a relief it was to put my shoulder into the door, to feel it pop open, and to go tumbling into that room, and then somebody smashed a gun in my face. It was Cadmus, my friend. He jammed the muzzle of his super warhawk into my cheek so hard it hurt, then grabbed me by the belt with his other hand. I wasn't going anywhere. Just over his shoulder I saw Malvina. She didn't look amused. To self, if AoE comes under attack, don't start knocking down my friend's doors. Yeah, that's a good note. Wish I'd had you there at the time to keep me from doing it. She smiles weakly. Adrenaline and abject terror can make a girl do some stupid things, I'll tell you what. A smile on her face dies, she looks away. Anyway, it wasn't an attack. There were no hostile invaders on the sinking ship, and our client had nothing to do with what was going on. Turns out there was no client. Sui had lied to us, to me, because he wanted the shiny object for himself. What he wanted to do was take the sinking ship away from Malvina, and so he used us to steal him something that he could use to foment a mutiny. She pauses for a moment, gathers her rats in her hands and lifts them to her shoulders. They scurry over the leather of her coat and disappear into her hair. As it turns out, betrayal hurts Seattle. Malvina felt it too, and I felt it too. Sui had been a friend. I just risked my life to save his like 4 hours ago, and he tricked me into helping him do something unthinkable. Why do you think he did this? He did it. Why all of this over a heap of junk floating in a bay? I don't know. Maybe he'd gone toxic. Maybe he got ambitious and wanted to be the king of our little aquatic hill. He didn't discuss it with me first or anything. I'd be willing to bet that something had gone rotten in Sui long before we ever met. He was pretty damn good at hiding it. Maybe it happened recently. He could have been possessed. She holds up a hand. I don't know why he did it. Frankly, I don't care. The only thing that's important here is that he did. So what did you do? What could I do? I didn't have a whole lot of options, and Cadmus was kind of on edge, like red-faced and screaming, so I opened my mouth and I fast-talked my way out of it. I started off by doubling down on my loyalty to Malvina, Cadmus, and the status quo on the sinking ship, swearing my undying friendship. You know the drill. I did a good job of it, but they still looked a little iffy. Iffy with a warhawk is bad, so I volunteered to prove myself by stealing the shiny object back from Sui. That was brave of you. I know, right? Not my style at all, but then I didn't really have a choice. I'd inadvertently helped to arm the bastard who was tearing our friends and neighbors apart. I don't think I could have cleared my name without taking his weapon away again. It was a hell of a night. I don't want to get into too many of the gory details. Friends died. Hell, friends killed each other. It was brother against brother, all that jazz. And Sui's indiscriminate use of the shiny object let a lot of things into this world that shouldn't have been. Did you get a good view of them this time? Yeah, I wish that I hadn't, but I did. I don't really know how to describe the things. They were like animals, but wrong, too many tails, bones in the wrong places, huge open sores, that kind of thing. They were spirits manifested in physical form, I think. Most of them took the form of rats, swarms of insects, rotten things, all the old pestilence tropes. Sometimes there were colonies of things, all tangled together, moving as one. Not the sort of thing that I want to see again, ever. So anyway, long story short, I got this shiny object back from Sui. It wasn't easy, but I got it. You want to elaborate on that? Not really. I used lies and misdirection trickery. Rat helped. She She pauses a moment, frowning. Some of the things that Sui let loose actually came in handy, funny enough. He'd summoned so many of them that he couldn't hope to control them all, and that gave me an opening to use them to my advantage. I was able to steer some of Sui's followers into a pack of the damn things. It worked. Wasn't pretty, though. I managed to trick my way past Sui's supporters and the astral menagerie that he'd summoned. Wasn't easy, but I did it. Then I stole the shiny object, and all was right with the world. And yeah, I'm intentionally glossing over the details. I had to do some things I'm not proud of, and people died because of it, but I got the damn rock and I got it back to Malvina. What happened then? Long story short, Malvina put the shiny object to better use than Sui ever did. She took to the thing like she grew up using it. We still lost dozens of people, but Sui's side lost more. Cadmus was critically wounded, but he pulled through. After the skirmish, Malvina held an assembly. She told everyone there'd be new rules for life on the raft. Anybody who refused to follow them could leave, and if you broke them, you were done. The rules of the sea and all that. After the pronouncement, she turned on the surviving mutineers. Hanu was one of them. He'd been in on Sui's plan the whole time. She didn't kill him, but she did exile him from the sinking ship, and for people in our economic bracket, that's as good as a one-way trip to the walled city. I'd be willing to bet that they're all dead by now. I wonder if we're going to see any of these people, like from Gobbet's past later. That'd be interesting. In the wake of Malvina's ultimatum, 5 survivors left the sinking ship. I was one of them. Why'd you leave? I had to go. We may have washed the blood off of the decks, but the energy of the sinking ship had changed. It wasn't the carefree haven that I loved anymore. And as sensible as Malvina's rules were, I wasn't up to living under them. We parted on good but sad terms, and as you'd expect, we drifted apart over the years. It's funny. I haven't even thought of Malvina or the sinking ship in years. Not until I decided to teach you your previous lesson, and it all came flooding back in. She pauses, turns to you. That's the story. It's finished, but I want to circle back on the lesson that I gave you up front because it's important. We need Auntie Chang to bring us work, that's obvious, but we also need her to keep us honest, to be sure that we on the team are playing straight with one another. Auntie Chang's reputation rides on the legitimacy of the jobs that she brings us, and that more than anything is why we need her. If we didn't have Auntie Chang or someone like her, we'd eventually tear ourselves apart. It happened on the sinking ship. It could happen again in Haoi. So anyway, that's the lesson. If you've got follow-up questions, go ahead and ask them. What did Malvina do with the shiny object? Well, first she used it to get rid of the things that Sui had let loose, then she put it away for safekeeping. It's probably still there on the sinking ship, ensconced in some shrine or other, held under lock and key. We should have tossed the thing into the bay. Yeah, agreed. I didn't like it either, but then she'd already proven that she could handle the thing, and it did help her put down Sui's mutiny. Plus, she's a shaman. We deal with dangerous magic beyond mortal key and on a daily basis. It's not that weird for us. Yeah, but still. Remember that she just watched her home, the home that she was supposed to guide and protect, tear itself apart. She'd lost a lot of friends and failed in her duties as a leader. And I think that hit her pretty hard. In the shiny object, she saw something that could help her keep that from ever happening again. Given the choice between tossing it and keeping it in her back pocket, well, you do the math. Like I said, I'd have preferred if she had ditched the thing, but in the end it wasn't my choice to make. From what little I've heard, she's still in power over there, so I guess that it worked out okay. Sweet. That walking colostomy bag was already dead, eaten by his own monsters after I took the shiny object away. Turns out he wasn't much good at controlling them without it. Voice fills with grim satisfaction. He didn't even live long enough to watch his mutiny fail. Well, that's about that last run. It always surprises me how much corporations will pay to screw up a competitor's feng shui. Hell, they'll even take each other to court over architecture that blocks qi. It has real impact, though. A little shift here and there might not seem like much, but even fractions of a penny lost in their stock value is millions. Got the shrugs pursing her lips. I could see us change the flow of chi in that building, but I still have no idea how to make it work for me. You need a real specialist for that, like a Taoist priest or something. Based on what I can see, though, I think Wuxing's fortunes will wane at least for the time being. They'll fix what we broke eventually, but until then, there may be a rash of stubbed toes. So what else did you want to talk about? Alright, thanks, Kevin. Sure, in Seattle, thanks for listening. These lessons are for your benefit, but I think that they help me too. It's nice to be taken seriously every now and again. No problem. For the next one. Price lights up. Yeah, me too. Now get a move on. I've got gobbet things to do. Come on. You enter to find Wu stalking the floor silently, one hand rigidly near his hip, the other flexing and unflexing again, right? When he notices you, he nods once and goes back to his caged panther routine. What do you think about that last run? So I guess we're vandals for hire now, renting ourselves out to tip people's tables and scrawl graffiti on their walls. I don't know, Ada. It feels like Bush League Barons ganger crap to me, the kind of stuff that we outgrew when we were 8. Watching you say that, too. People here seem to take feng shui very seriously. Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, if people in the free enterprise zone are convinced that interior decoration is a matter of life and death, I'm not going to argue. It's stupid, but I've taken money for all kinds of stupid things before. Yeah, I remember when you got that job in the private club on Cleveland Street. I was young and I had moves. It paid well for a summer. He crosses his arms over his chest. You're just jealous that they hired me over you. Oh, damn. Anyway, enough about that. Need anything else? I'm gonna wear a hole in the floor that way. Who keeps facing? Need something? You're gonna be okay. Yep, I just trying to maintain pacing helps. Been thinking about Josephine's song. Why she did what she did to our family, what she did to Carter. His pace increases a bit and his tusks jut forward slightly. Josephine's song. Goddamn Josephine's song. And I'm going to make her pay for it. We're going to make her pay for it. We. Of course we. What did I say? No, it's us, Ada. There's no way I could figure out what's going on without you. Besides, I want you there when the old Duncan comes out to play. Whose eyes smolder. Here's what we do. We walk into the Tsung headquarters and ask for the boss. When she comes down, we grab her, take her somewhere quiet, and find out why she had Carter and those runners killed, find out what happened to Raymond, whether he's alive or dead. What happens next is up to her. Death. They'll never see it coming. That's why the plan's so beautiful. This is the way to go, my way. Now, where have I heard that before? What, my way? That's right. There's one way this is gonna go. He catches himself, understanding appears in his eyes. Oh crap, that's what Ray used to say. Raymond Black, our benevolent dictator. No questioning his rules, no failing short of his expectations. It was his way or the wrong way. Raymond could be pretty harsh when we didn't live up to his standards. Oh man, do you think? Remember what happened a few years after we moved out of the squad and into his house? The thing with Double Tray and Lockjaw, when he accused us of relapsing back into our old ways. And that was when Ray's authority finally got tested. When his raspy baritone instinct was set, when I finally stood up to him. Yep, the way he handled that was part of the reason I eventually left. He just wouldn't listen. I thought that might have been part of it, but to be fair, I wasn't listening either. That was our pattern, wasn't it? I wouldn't listen. He wouldn't listen, then we butted heads, rinse and repeat once every few weeks. He smiles, but it's filled with regret. That time was the worst. His face settles into an expression of resignation. Okay, Miss Jin-sun, we don't need to do things my way. No need for us to butt heads. He stretches, you can hear his joints crack, and on that note, I'm going to have to ask you to clear out. It's been another long day. You think this is bad? Try prison. You know what? I'd rather not. Put enough people away to know what it's like on the inside. Anyway, have a good night, Ada. I'll catch you tomorrow. Nice. How much money do I have? I got a lot of karma. I'm gonna see if I can buy any ware. What I have. Ambrose is staring at a flat panel monitor on the wall. A local news channel is zoomed in on an ultra-modern aircraft carrier moored in Victoria Harbor. You followed the IGN story. IJN. A Kensei fighter wing from the Masumane did an honorary flyby of the Executive Council meeting today. They're rattling the saber hard. Everybody's being courteous as hell, but nobody's blinking. The IJN, the Masumane, what are you talking about? The Imperial Japanese Navy. They've parked the carrier Masumane's battle group in Hong Kong for a visit. They're trying to intimidate the city. Nobody's having it, not even the Japanicorps. It looks like it's being driven by some sort of weird internal Japanese pissing match. The Imperial militarists want to cow Hong Kong and bring it under the umbrella. However, almost every megacorp, including all the Japanicorps, want Hong Kong to remain independent. Tensions are high. Is there any chance that Japan will take over the Hong Kong Free Enterprise Zone? No way, not in a million years. This kind of rooster show goes down all the time. Worst that'll happen is a bunch more posturing, like the IJN has an accidental fire incident with a coastal boat. Somebody test fires an anti-ship missile. The Port Authority finds the Masumane's paperwork. lacking and charges them exorbitant harbor fees, noise like that. They're a bunch of square-haired idiots with muscle cars revving at each other. Just stay out of smuggler hulls. The IJN likes to go on sprees of blowing them up to show how well protected HK would be under the yoke. Ambrose snorts in amusement. Those honorary flyover fighters, the live ordnance loaded ridiculous. Say what you will, though. That Kansai multi-rose fighter is a sweet bird. Ambrose ogles a close-up of one of the shark-like jets on the wall screen. Twin Mitsubishi double-aught Delta turbofan engines, ramjets, thrust vectoring, Generation 4 fight-by-wire. Hey, gorgeous. Anything to worry about? Yeah, don't go into a bar full of drunk Japanese sailors with a free San Francisco t-shirt on. That whole IJN drama is gonna go on like it always does. The Japanese Navy will eventually realize no one is even paying attention. Then they're gonna steam off in a huff and maybe blow a few smugglers out of the water. Happens all the time. Politics. I can only talk about them so much. Let's move on. You mentioned Essence. Tell me about it. I know. Sure, what do you want to know? Ambrose taps his wheelchair with 3 fingers. Eagerly, it's fascinating stuff. What exactly is Essence? Ambrose gives an exaggerated shrug, pursing his lips. Well, I'm not sure. It's life force, sort of. Essence is like the ability of the spirit to recognize and stay connected to the body. Augmenting the body reduces our essence. When our essence is exhausted, the spirit quits the body and we die. There's this popular idea that essence is disrupted when we attach non-human things to our nervous system, but that's only kinda true. If you install a data jack or a bionic arm, that's definitely a lot of neural interface. However, if you get bone lacing or dermal armor, those don't have much neural interface, right? But they're still murder on your essence. The body still recognizes them as alien and invasive. So there's something more to essence than just the neural interface. There are all sorts of weird theories about essence, biospiritual integrity and stuff. I've tried to read some of the medical papers, but it was like trying to drive a go-kart through a blackberry thicket. Hell if I know what it really is. Is there any way to restore lost essence? Nope, but there's a ton of research going into it, like hundreds of millions of new yen a year. The person who figures out how to restore essence is going to change the world. Think about it, we might be able to achieve full biological regeneration, or even resurrection of the dead. I wouldn't need replacement parts, I might just be able to grow my own body back. That'd be something else. Can I install a cyberware below 0 essence? No, no, no. You drop below 0 essence, you die. Ambrose shakes his head emphatically, face grim. Every hardcore street soldier asks that. Trust me, there's no way to do it. However, it seems like people can cultivate the ability to carry a little more cyberware. Theorists think it's really just making the essence you've got go further. Ambrose taps his 3 fingers on his paunch thoughtfully. As long as we're bullshitting, though. There are a lot of rumors about cyber zombies, corporate experiments in deep augmentation going into negative essence. Hell, there's even some convincing evidence posted by runners that these experiments exist, but no credible medical entity has ever recognized proof. If that tech's out there, it's light years beyond anything that you'll find on the street. Do I think the corps are doing the research? Of course, why not? But does it work? I've got no idea. Why don't you get some cloned limbs? Those don't take essence. I've got the ACEs, acquired cybergenetic hyperimmunity syndrome. My body rejects all sorts of mods and biotech. My body now thinks that Chrome is legitimate and everything else is an intruder. Huh. Acquired cybergenetic. I've got a list of over 70 things I'm now allergic to, including bio-implants. So no cloned limbs for me, kind of a bummer. No horseradish either. No carrots, no barbiturates. Man, I used to love horseradish. How is essence measured? Oh, there are a zillion different systems for measuring essence, but everyone on the street just uses the rule of 6. The rule says that the body has an index of 6 essence, and all augmentations can be loosely scored on how much they reduce that number. It was originally the Medvedev-Dirac Bioholism Index. After 2 early researchers, they figured that the body had 6 parts, and they observed that replacing a limb with an early cyber prosthetic took around 1/6 of a person's capacity. They developed a theory that cyber capacity was based on body regions. Each region would have could have up to 100% cyber, and the whole body added up to 600%, which written as 6. Turns out that the whole theory was flawed, and body region doesn't matter much for essence cost, but the rule of 6 was easy and intuitive. It stuck, so we still use it. Ambrose gives you a crooked smile, eyes glittering. Essence is cool stuff, At the end of the day, I don't know what it is. I just know I'm almost out of it. Show me your services. Sure thing. Tune up or spare parts. Cyberware. Okay, so I can buy a lot, I guess. Armor. Just keep me alive. This will make me hit harder. Keep me alive. This will also help keep me alive. I can't use this. Be cool, but I don't have the skill for it. One AP. Jolt alert. Okay. Throwing weapons. Cephalon. +1 intelligence. Drone. That's not bad. This is expensive. All right. I should get more armor. Is there an armor shop? Alright. Alright. What did you want to talk about? Kindly had Wampum burn your sin. Word is you're doing some work for her. No normal deals of Shadowrunning. Maybe, maybe not. What about it? I get it. Well, I didn't hear anything about it. Boss smiles tightly like a conspirator. Listen, if you've got info runs I can make worth of something. We Wampums call that kind of thing metadata. Wampums like to get the word on the street from the active operators. So you've got info about runs or something, credits? Yeah, I can hook you up with something, maybe credits, maybe some street programs, but really you'll get faced with Wampoa. That counts for a lot more than money. Law looks out through the rain, crossing the rocking boats. He wipes his foggy goggle lenses with a rag from his pockets. His stomach gurgles loudly. Augmented reality goggles aside, this gig gets really boring sometimes. You ever want to talk shop? I'm here. See you later, Law. Gotta go. Okay, watch your back and shoot straight and all. Do you sell anything, Jin? Ah, you got me there, Jin. Why, hello there, young woman. Something you need. Just a Gakko shoe. It's your turn. Question or two. Shoe nods. I could use a short break. How about you, Jin? Fine, a short break. He looks to be in his early 30s, but it's difficult to tell. The skin on his face is smooth and supple, with only the suggestion of creases at the eye. Mouth and forehead, but small gestures, a blink, a flare of his nostril briefly reveal the lines of his face. The man's eyes rise from the go-born and study the elders. He nods. Alright, just talk about the... Immediately upon entering, you notice the clutter. Somehow the small magic shop is even messier than before. Stacks and stacks of books occupy chairs, tables, and tops of shelves. There seems to be even more than when you first visited. It's as if you had just entered a paper factory and it's spawning season. You peer around a precariously arranged tower of books and find Crafty hungrily reading one of her mother's journals. Red rings her eyes, and tousled hair falls over her face. It looks like she hasn't seen the better part of a pillow in a couple days. She moves to stretch and spots you with a quick flick of her hand. She marks her place in the journal. What a welcome sight. Have you found anything? Not much of it. How about you? A slow smile spreads across her cheeks. She nods. This mind-numbing tedium is starting to pay off. Check this out. The dreams that everyone's having, they aren't really dreams. They're omens. From what I've gathered, we're walking a fine line here. They're pretty dangerous. Attempts to interpret them could lead to mixed results. What do you mean by omens? You know, omens harbingers of doom and gloom and bad things to come. Her mouth twists to the side as she thinks. Just a minute. Crafty opens a drawer behind the counter and brings out a dictionary. Clears her throat. Omens, a sign that warns of future events by way of visionary creatures or hallucinations. Why are they happening here? Apparently their sorts of portents are commonly linked with malign palaces, places, and disaster sites. They're caused by leakage through wounds between our world and the astral plane. Okay, great. That means we can steal them, right? I'm not sure we can. At least I haven't found anything about that in my mother's text yet. She lays a hand on the countertop and leans forward. We don't want to dive into this haphazardly, Schick. Remember, these omens can be dangerous. Are they dangerous? She holds a finger and starts digging around for another text. After a moment, she locates a small notepad and flips to a dog-eared page. And here it says these visions or dreams of whatever you want to call them are real. They're open to interpretation, but interpreting them incorrectly can be disastrous. Astral space is a place of dream logic. Taking the things that you see too literally can even be more dangerous than ignoring them. Interpret a dream correctly. Using the term loosely, yes, but there's no real correct way to interpret a dream, and it's too difficult to separate that nonsense from the substance. Can you interpret the dream? I can't help you interpret your dreams. Whatever they're trying to impart is beyond me. All I can do is keep reading. There has to be something in this library that can help us understand what's happening. I'm making strides, thanks, Crafty. I do my best. Where's... Alright. Trying to remember who else had armor. Everybody in here sells guns. reliable Matthew. Smooth jazz drifts from the chief speakers on this barge. A wide array of torn-down drones offer the battered deck. Most are utility and domestic types, but a few, cornered off from the others, are low in security models. The salesman smiles indulgently at you, a tall, lanky human of clear Cantonese ancestry. He's wearing a cheap suit and limply clutching a smelly cigarillo. He adjusts his tie with exaggerated nonchalance, languid, ostentatious, like an American casino promoter. Hey there, beautiful. Welcome to our little floating heaven. You've got a discerning look to you. What brings you to Reliable Matthew's Robot Bazaar? Ah, he drones. He taps ash over a bulky cleaning drone. Beside him, not waiting for an answer, he continues. Perhaps you're looking for a hexacopter as a guide to Hong Kong, or a little handheld tarantula beauty to brew your tea. Combat models. When Matthew looks over his shoulder at the security drones, some heavily cannibalized, in the corner of the yard, he turns back to you with a nervous smile. Funny you should ask. I've just gotten a Doberman that I'm selling at an incredible bargain price. Shall we take a look? I can't buy these or use them. This game is definitely worth replaying. Just to play as different things. As long as they have some better armor. Because I can't be running around with... it doesn't look as cool as I want it to, but oh well. It's protective. Alright. Upgraded, progressed story. I think I can call this a session.